Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be pruning up my wisteria. It has grown and grown and grown right up to the roof of the greenhouse. So I'm going to prune it back today and try and get more branching on the wisteria. Here is a look at the wisteria. So I have it in a tray of water. So I keep it watered and fertilized at all times. And you can see on the trunk here, I'm getting branches. I've got one down low here and one a little higher up. And then up in the upper branching, I pruned it back here last time and I didn't get many more branches. It just sort of kept growing a single leader, and they grew up and they started twisting around themselves. You can see how they curl around themselves, forming quite a tough vine. And this one grows all the way across over to here. You can see the ends of it here. And the other section back here grows up into the corner of the greenhouse, and then it follows the greenhouse roof all the way up to the very peak of the greenhouse up here. So I have to be careful. If these vines thicken up too much, they can damage the structure of the greenhouse. So that's another reason I'm going to prune it back today. Plus, it's getting very dense and starting to shade out the trees beside it. So before I do the detailed pruning, I just want to cut these upper vines away so I can then move the wisteria from the bench here over to the turntable. All right, here I go, cutting the wisteria back, and I'm just going to prune it quite tall for now, and then when it's on the turntable I'll do a detailed pruning, shortening everything back more. So here I go, cutting this section of the vine off. Oh, so this is the one that was growing across the roof there. This one I'll cut back to here. I don't think I'll be able to untangle that, so I'll have to cut all the rest at the same time. Just kind of cutting everything off high here. And then I hope I can remove this vine. It has grown in like crazy. And there's one more back here. I need to get out. Wow, that's a lot of vines. Here is a look at all the vines that grew. Wow, that was a lot of vigor. So I'll put that on the compost heap, and I'll make sure, actually before I put it on the compost heap, I'm going to put it in the pathway so it dries out and dies. I don't want it growing in the compost heap and then spreading. These things can be a real problem if they get loose in the wild. So now I can move the wisteria from the bench here over onto the turntable, like that, and we can have a good look at it. Here on the lower trunk, I've got a new shoot here, one back here, and one here. And I'm going to let those grow because I want lots of branching on this tree, lots of vigor, and that will help thicken up the trunk line. So now I need to go up top. I'm going to begin, there is a shoot growing back in across the tree here, right here. That needs pruning away totally, so off it comes. And it's not the most vigorous in the world, but it'll help clean out the inside of the tree so everything's fanning outwards. And my goal for this tree is to create kind of a weeping willow style, where I have all these branches, which will be fairly high because you have to imagine the flowers hanging down someday. And you want room for the flowers. You don't want them touching the soil or going below the pot. You can if you elevate the pot, but I prefer to grow the structure fairly tall and then have all the flowers hanging down above the surface of the soil. So now I've got to look at this upper branch structure. On this wisteria, I've never really done a hard prune into the older woody part of the branches or trunks. I've always kind of clipped the soft new growth. And I've noticed when I do that it generally doesn't divide reliably from 1 to 2. It generally just sort of, the strongest bud grows into a vine, just continuing the branch longer and longer. I'm just trying to see if there's any that have divided. This one is just a single branch. This one too. This one, this one. This one has divided back here. I've got 2 branches coming from one. But that's, I think, the only place. Maybe up here, maybe in the apex I've got 2 also. But yeah, not a lot of ramification happening. So I think in this case I'm going to do some hard pruning. You can see on the trunk line there's buds back here. Let me show you a close-up. Here is a look at the trunk lines, and you can see there's a whole bunch of dormant buds at the base of these branches. And I think this time I'm going to try some hard pruning into the old wood. And generally on deciduous trees, when you do a cut into the old wood, you get multiple branches emerge around the cut point, and then you go and select your best 2, so it always divides from 1 to 2. So that's what I'm going to try this time. It's something I've never done on the wisteria. A bit of an experiment, but I can see what's happening now is every time I prune it, I'm just getting one single branch grow up, so I'm not getting any increase in ramification other than down lower on the trunk, which is good. But yeah, I've got to change my technique and try this out and see if it works. This hard pruning back on the tree I don't think is risky at all. It's summertime. There's a ton of vigor in the tree. I've just pruned off like 80% of the foliage. So I think the chances of it back budding really well are good. I don't think there's any danger for, branch dieback or anything. So here I go. On this branch, I have 2 buds on the outside here, so I can prune above that. And I'll leave a bit of a stub for dieback, but not too much. So here I go, a big cut coming up. Taking that branch off there. Right down to the wood. On this part, I'm looking for buds facing the outside. I have 2 up here. There's 1 down here. Actually, there's 2 down here. But I think I'm going to go a little higher on this one. So up to those buds at this level. So here I go. Taking the top off that branch. Let's go to this one now. So this one, I have a couple of buds down here that look like they're about to branch out. So I think I'm going to go right back to those. Taking the whole top off. And then this one, I have no buds. Maybe there's a couple here. There's a couple here, very small ones. So I think that's my best choice up there. So I'll prune to here. And we'll see. Like some of these branches I'm cutting back quite far, and other ones I'm leaving a little longer. So I'll see what happens. So my central trunk line, you can see I do have a division here, which is always good. I have a bud facing the outside here. It's just a single bud. Just get rid of this debris. It's just a single bud. I've got a couple of dormant buds here. At the top, you can see it was growing up, and then it kind of grew on the inside. It's not too bad, but I think I'll go back to this bud here. I know it's a single bud, but at least it's going the right direction. So here I go. And then the other branch, I've got a really good leaf fanning outwards here. Another one here. So I think I'll go up here. Like that. So that has got it kind of hard pruned back. And we'll see what happens. It'll be very exciting. Now, I think I will seal these cuts with rubber cement. So that'll be my next step. I had to get a new tube of rubber cement. It's $1.39 each. Titan multi-purpose glue. Yeah, it's just a typical rubber cement. You can get this stuff at arts and craft stores, anywhere where they sell glues. So I'll cut it open. So the reason I had to get a new tube is because it was on my bench here and a pair of scissors punctured the tube and it all leaked out and gooped everywhere. Luckily, it's really easy to clean off your tools. You just peel it off. So I had to get a new tube because it just leaked out and dried up. So you have to break the seal on it like that. And then I'll put a dab of the rubber cement over the end of each of these branches I cut. And that just seals the moisture in, stops any insects or disease getting to the branches, and it dries really, really quickly. It's waterproof, flexible. It's good stuff for wounds. One back here and one up here. I think that's got it all sealed up, yes. Okay, I'll put the cap back on the glue. And this time I'm not going to keep it with my sharp scissors. I'll put it somewhere else, maybe over the other side. Here is everything I took off the wisteria today. A lot. So I'm going to let it dry out in the pathway here. That way it won't root and grow in the yard and become a problem. So let's go in and have a look at the tree now. Here's a look at the wisteria now. So I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. And I'm not sure where the front will be, but... So here I go. Here's the current front. Coming around to the right-hand side. The back. The left-hand side. And back to the front. I think the front of the tree would be probably somewhere here, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. And maybe in future, you know, branches may be removed for sure. This tree is very early in its development stage. My main focus for this tree right now was to create a really nice radial root base. So I've root pruned this tree 3 years in a row, and it's recovered from that severe root pruning really well each time. And the root system's getting better and better, nice and radial, and lots of ramification in the root system. That's my priority. And then, you know, now I'm starting to try and grow branches also. The more branches I can get, the better off I am, and the more choices I'll have for future selection. So yeah, I guess I'm working on the bottom and the top of the tree at the same time. I suspect the wisteria will react very quickly, shooting out all kinds of new growth on it. It was very vigorous before I did this pruning today, so I expect it to recover really, really quickly. So I'll keep you updated on its progress. It's time now for today's updates. The first update for today is my lithops, and they are splitting open. This is the old lithop, and it's splitting open and revealing the new growth. So they're all splitting at the moment, and it's getting very crowded in this pot, so I think I'm going to have to slip them into a larger pot for this year. Yes, I'll have to do that soon, maybe on a succulent Sunday coming up. My little Ficus religiosa here, in the last video I pruned it up. It basically had no foliage on it, and you can see it's leafed out really well. This tree, even though it's really, really small. It is about 25 or maybe even 27 years old. So I've kept it very small. I don't think you've seen this tree before. This was a gift from Casper. He came over here and we repotted his Brazilian rain tree, and he gave me this Fukian tea cutting, and you can see it's really tall and doing really well. It's in sort of an organic soil, and I keep it well watered, and it's flowering, doing super. We've had some absolutely beautiful weather lately. At night it cools down to 12, 14 degrees Celsius, and in the daytime it warms up to 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. So it's just been really, really nice weather lately. I have had to water the trees a lot. Every day I have to water the trees. They dry out fairly quickly in this sun. But they're all looking good. The back bench is in the shade now. It's later on in the afternoon. I've done all my watering for today. Yeah, and everything's doing well. And it's supposed to warm up the next week, so I think it'll be even better. Here's my birthday pine, my Scots pine. I moved it from over by the greenhouse into the full sun here. You can see the candles extending for this year. They're extending and the needles are coming out now. I've got some cleanup work to do on the tree, but my goal is to grow the root system, to get it out of this giant pot, and it's getting there. If I look down in the soil here, I can see new roots forming. You can see there's a new root here, there's a bunch of roots here. So once the upper root system is strong enough, I can then cut off the root system that goes deeper into the pot and eventually get it into a bonsai pot. So I can't be in a rush. I have to wait for those upper roots to grow. And I've already replaced the upper part of the soil with bonsai soil to encourage fine roots to grow in this section. So it's on track. I just have to be patient. This is a very slow growing tree. I've never really had to pinch the candles. I might have to do some work on them this year. That's about my longest candle here. But most of them are really compact. And Ray, who they got this tree from, said this has always been a very slow growing tree. So yeah, I just got to be patient with it. The time will come when I repot it, and it should be good. I don't want to kill the tree trying to repot it too early. My Austrian pine over here is doing really well. It's looking good. So I've got my 2 sacrifice branches just continuing to grow, and I'm trying to unify the thickness of the trunk on it so it's not so bulgy looking, so it kind of unifies both the taper and the form of it. I've kind of got a bit of a bulge here, and it goes skinny here and thickens up here. So I'm hoping by growing these sacrifice leaders that it kind of unifies the thickness of the trunk. That's the goal. My Chinese elm is growing with a lot of vigor, and I thought about pruning it, and I thought, well, do I need to prune it? My goal is to kind of thicken up the trunk and unify it once again. It used to be almost a cascade tree, and I cut off part of it. So I want this upper part to grow and then create a better transition from the older trunk to this branch. So I'm just letting it grow. I don't see any need to prune it at this present time. I mean, the branches aren't getting too thick or anything. Yeah, so that's the case of just probably letting it grow for the whole summer, and then when it loses its leaves in fall, prune it back and repeat the process. My lemon tree continues to leaf out. There is just lots of shoots coming out on it now. Look at this branch, just full of new shoots. And they're coming off the trunk line too, various places, and some of them are good. Like this branch back here is good. I'll be using that one. I'm not sure about this one. It's kind of at the base of 2 branches already, but yeah, I'll use what I can. But it's certainly come back to life, which is good. My Alberta spruce here, you can see the second flush of growth is coming out now. It's a lot weaker than that first flush you get in spring, but it's nice to get a second flush of growth. It'll help fill the tree in, give me more branch selection for the future. Back here, I've moved my London plane trees into a boot tray with some water in the bottom, so it keeps them hydrated. I did this last year, keeping them with water underneath them, and they grew really well. If you don't, I've been watering them previously, and you can see how all the leaves are pointing upwards, and that's to get less surface area to dry out in the sun. So when they're well watered, the leaves will be more horizontal. So this boot tray will certainly help with that. Otherwise, you know, I'm watering this 3, sometimes 4 times a day, just trying to keep the soil moist, and it's just really hard. So the boot tray does that. You just fill it up so it has a bit of water in it, and it wicks up into the soil and keeps them hydrated throughout the hot afternoon. And you just fill the boot tray up each day. I'm going to try and do the same thing for my larch forest, putting a tray of water under it that just touches the bottom of the pot. It's hard to keep this one watered. There's so much surface area in the soil and evaporation, and the trees use a lot of water, that I think it would be better having a tray of water underneath it. I think it'd keep it hydrated better, and the trees would grow with more vigor. Yeah, so that will be coming. I'll just have to find a tray big enough to fit under this pot. It's quite a big pot. My Cotoneaster here has some nice red berries on it already. It's looking good. My red maple penguin is another one that I added a tray of water underneath it. So there's water and fertilizer there, and it keeps it hydrated. I was watering it as much as I could throughout the day, but it still wasn't enough. And you can see some of the leaves were turning a bit of fall colors on them, actually. Yeah, they just weren't getting enough hydration. And now that I've put the tray of water under it, they're starting to green up, and I'm starting to get some new growth on the tree, which is good on the trees. Yeah, so that really helps, especially on hot days. It's just almost impossible to keep them hydrated enough. The asparagus fern here is doing its thing once again this year, getting a canopy on top. I still have this kind of bare spot over here, but you can see branches growing in on this side that will fill that in eventually. If not, you know, that'll be a feature of it. But yeah, it's a interesting plant, that's for sure. Bruce's spruce here is also getting a second flush of growth on it, which is good. It certainly needs it. It's a bit sparse looking, but I got all the structure sorted out this year. It's in a good pot, a mesh basket, so it should grow with a lot of vigor. And that's the first time since I got it that it's looking vigorous. Here's a look at my apple tree in the sunlight. Looking nice. I pruned that up very recently in a video. Yeah, it's looking good. When I last showed you the community orchard, it was a pretty pessimistic video. It was late winter and the rabbits had destroyed 3/4 of the trees. They just chewed them all down to the bare wood. So let's go have a look at them, see how they're doing today. Here in the forest, all the ash trees that died from the emerald ash borers, they're all tipping over now, changing the forest. So I think the buckthorn will get the light and it'll grow into larger buckthorn. Yeah, so if I ever need more buckthorn to collect, I can come here. There's lots and lots of it. So there's the root system of one that just tipped over recently. Shallow. Yeah, just devastated. You can see where the ash borers came in and cleaned out the cambium layer. They're all over the trunk, all the pathways. Yeah, just decimated the ash trees in this forest. This one's cracked at the top here, a little higher. Yeah, they're all coming down. It's kind of dangerous in this forest at the moment. So many trees coming down. Okay, let's head down the pathway to the community orchard. We had 3 peach trees down this row, and they're not looking so good. You can see the disease on the leaves here. There is a little peach forming here. The middle one died. Not sure why, but it just did. So I don't think we'll grow any more peach trees out here. There's still a little bit of life in it, but it's basically dead, I think. This tree, it's got peaches on it. There's quite a few actually. It looks a little more healthy. The leaves look good on it actually. So there's 1 good peach tree out of the 3. Here is the community orchard. So let's go around and look at the trees, and I'll show you the survivors and the ones that didn't survive. I'll start on the edge of the spiral here. So there's a high bush cranberry that's doing really well. You can see it flowering. That'll be loaded with cranberries. Next we have a pear tree, and this is one of the ones that got really severely eaten by the rabbits, but it survived. There must be a ribbon of live, yeah, in here there's a ribbon of a live vein growing to the top of the tree, keeping it alive. I don't see any fruit on it, and I didn't expect to see any, but it's alive. I don't know if it'll survive, but it is suckering up from the base also, which is good. If we have to replace the whole tree, at least something survived. Next, we have a quince. And this one's doing quite well. You can see the quince, it flowered, and the quince fruit is forming on the branches now. Quite a lot of it. This is one tree the rabbits didn't like as much. You can see there's a lower branch that got all chewed here, but the main trunk line, it got a bit chewed on this side, but it survived. It'll recover and grow quite nicely. In between all the trees we have currant bushes and raspberries. And then over here is I think this is a mulberry. I think. Yes, it is. There's mulberries growing in here. You can see the fruit, it's green. And it did quite well. The rabbits didn't touch the trunk lines on the mulberries. Yeah, there's lots of mulberries growing in here. That's good. Next up, we have a cherry tree. And the cherry trees didn't get touched by the rabbits either. You can see the trunk is intact. It's painted white to deter insects and keep the trunks cool. Yeah, so the cherry tree's doing really well. I don't see any cherries on this one. Oh, wait, there is. Right here. You can see there's a couple of cherries. Not a whole lot, but some. Oh, there's some more here too. That's quite a group of them here. Yeah, so that one's doing well. Next, we have a plum tree, a cherry plum. This was one of the ones grown from seed, and it's doing really well. The rabbits didn't touch it. I don't see any fruit on it, but it's still a young tree. This was germinated from seed a couple of years before COVID, so maybe in 2018 or 2019, and it's grown into a really nice tree. You can see the size of it. It's looking good. Next, we have, I believe it's an apple tree, and this one got totally chewed by rabbits, but you can see it sprouted out from down below. So the whole top of the tree died off, but we can regrow it from what's left. So that's good, it survived. Next over here is another plum tree. This was also grown from seed, and this one did get eaten. You can see on the trunk here it's all chewed away, but not enough to kill it. It survived. it's growing up top, so hopefully that'll recover. Next over here is, this looks like a cherry tree, I believe. I think so. Yeah, this one did this one did quite well. Yeah, it's lost a lot of branches. You can see here. It could be a plum. I'm just trying to see. It might be a plum, I'm not sure, but it's doing quite well. Lots of milkweed here for the butterflies. And then we have another mulberry here. And this one's doing well. I did some severe pruning on it last year, sorting out the trunk structure. Doing well. I don't see any fruit on it, but it's doing well. Next is another mulberry, I believe. Actually, I'm thinking I'm wrong. I'm thinking these last two were cherry trees. That one and this one, yes, they are cherries. Yeah, they're both doing really well. Especially this one, it looks really, really healthy. Then we have a mulberry, different leaf. And this one did well. No damage from rabbits. And is there fruit on it? Yes, there is. It's covered in fruit up here. There's all kinds of it. All kinds of fruit on it. That's good. I love mulberries. And then next down here, we had a tree die off here. I don't know what it was, but it's dead. There is something sprouting from the rootstock here. Most of these trees were grafted trees, so whatever comes up from the rootstock will be like a wild version or not a selected variety. But it's better than having nothing. So the next tree is an apple tree, and it got really chewed on. You can see here, but it is surviving. It didn't get ringed, so it's doing quite well. I don't see any fruit on it, but it's alive and growing, which is good, and that should repair itself down lower. And here we have another cherry tree. This one did really well, and you can see the size of the trunk on it. It's getting huge. Yeah, it's a big trunk. Really healthy looking. I'm not seeing any fruit on it, but it's doing well. Hi. There's a doggy over there at the fence barking at me. Hi, doggy. Next we have, what is it? There's fruit on it. I think it's a mulberry. Yes, it is. And I think this was one my wife planted. A young tree, but doing really well, looking healthy. There's a walnut tree that just grew by itself here that we've left because there was an empty space between the trees. And then next we have a Asian pear tree, and somehow it's surviving despite the enormous damage on the trunk. You can see how it was just devastated. But I think they didn't go too deep. I think part of this is alive. So it's definitely recovering. And yeah, I think it's doing quite well. This side looks good. And this has fruit on it. You can see the pears here forming. These are Asian pears. They're really delicious. And this tree has been really good in the orchard. Always producing lots of fruit. And it looks like this year it'll have lots of fruit too. And then next down here we have another Asian pear. And it's similar for this one. It got really chewed at the trunk line here on this side, but there's a live vein feeding the tree on this side. It's narrow, the one that was against the post here. I guess the rabbits couldn't get in there. So it's doing well, and it's got lots of fruit on it also. You can see some of them are even turning color here. Yeah, lots of fruit on this Asian pear. Next in the spiral is another Asian pear, I think. No, it's a quince. There's the fruit forming on the quince here. Yeah, a quince. And I don't think this one got touched by the rabbits, so it's doing super. Looking healthy and lots of fruit on it. Next is, I believe this was an apple tree. It is suckering up from the rootstock here. Might be an apple, I'm not sure. But whatever it is, the whole top is dead on it. But it should recover and grow into something. Next we have another cherry plum. This was also grown from seed and it's doing well. A lot of dieback on the branches, but that may be just that it was repotted, or not repotted, but transplanted out here in the orchard fairly recently. Like, I think it was put out here in fall, so this is probably its first or second winter, and it's doing well. A lot of dieback on this side, but it's growing. And then next we have a cherry tree that has a ton of fruit on it. You can see all the cherries growing. And this is getting to be quite a mature tree. I gave it quite a severe pruning last year to try and get a structure going on it, and it's coming along nice. Lots of fruit, which is good. It shows it's healthy. And then we have a mulberry tree here. And it's looking good and healthy. I don't think the rabbits touched it, no. And it's just loaded with fruit. There are going to be some really good mulberries in the future out here. And then next we have a cherry tree. This one didn't get touched by rabbits. It looks really healthy. Again, I don't see any fruit on it, but maybe next year. Yeah, I don't see any fruit at all. Next we have a pear tree. And I think this is a regular pear. I don't think it's an Asian pear. And it's looking really healthy. No rabbit damage. Oh, here's some pears here. Yeah, regular pears. Yeah, so that's looking good. There's a bunch of pears here too. So, some fruit. And then we have another cherry tree here. Getting quite large. And do I see any cherries on it? I don't. No, no cherries on that one. Next is, I'm guessing a pear tree. I don't see any fruit. It could be an apple, but I think it's a pear. Yeah, I don't see any fruit on it at all. It's too bad. It did get some damage on the trunk. It got chewed in the one spot, but not too bad. It survived. A lot of blackberries growing in this area. They develop really nicely. And then we have another pear tree here. And again, I'm not seeing any fruit on it. Yeah, no fruit on that one. This one may be an Asian pear. This one did get a lot of damage on the trunk line also. So maybe that's the reason it didn't fruit. Even the branches got chewed. This is quite high. This is like waist high here. The snow this winter didn't melt at all. So it got really, really high. And the rabbits could, go on top of the snow and basically eat the tops of the trees. Here we have an apple tree. This apple tree always produced a good crop of apples, but this year it got severely damaged. You can see the trunk down there is just bare wood, and somewhere in here, right against the post again, there's a live vein feeding the top of the tree. So you just have to let it grow and hopefully repair itself. It'll take many, many years. We'll see what happens. Over here we have an apple tree. And this one, you can see the rabbits killed off all the lower branches. But the trunk line survived. It's looking really healthy. I don't see any fruit on it. Maybe next year. And over here we have a quince. This quince did get chewed. You can see down here, there's all these chew marks. It lost a lot of the trunk line, but it's surviving and it's got fruit on it. Lots of fruit. So that's good. And then over here, this was an apple tree and it got totally ringed. And then in spring it still came out into leaf. But you can see there's no live vein connecting the bottom of the tree to the top. But there is a new shoot coming from down lower off of the trunk line. So it's a matter of regrowing the tree once again, starting over from scratch, but at least it's not totally dead. And then, last but not least, in the middle of the spiral is a peach tree, Magic's peach tree that he planted, and it's looking really bad. Disease all over the leaves, barely surviving. It's always just kind of barely survived. Not looking good at all. Yeah, so that is the spiral orchard. Round and round we went. The trees on the row by the fence, most of those survived. I won't go down the row, but most of those survived quite nicely. There's one over here that got really eaten by rabbits, but it's sprouting up from the base. And the rest all did well. So that's good. That one kind of got decimated too, but it's growing still. Yeah, so there's... Yeah, I was pretty devastated seeing these trees when, you know, it was still winter out, how badly they were chewed. But it's not looking too bad. There's a lot of trees that survived and a lot of trees that'll recover and grow into good fruit trees for the future. It's just a lot of them are starting over again. But, you know, such is life. So the only solution we can think is to, you know, protect these trees with chicken wire or something. So the snow this year, you know, it came up to this level, kind of hip high, and it was like that all winter. So look at all these cherries. Yeah, so the only thing we can think is just go up higher with our protection. We had collars on all the trunks going up, you know, about a meter, but it just wasn't high enough. Not with the snow levels we got this winter. Yeah, so a lesson learned, and you know, it wasn't a total loss. The community gardens are looking good. Next year they're going to start charging a fee for your garden plot. They found there's too many people taking advantage of free plots and they're just not using them. They just neglect them and they just get all weedy and no one ever comes out to tend to them. So they're going to put a fee on the gardens, and that should encourage people to utilize the garden a little more. Way in the distance here, one of the pawpaw trees did survive. It's leafed out. There's an apple tree out there that's doing really well. And I planted a birch tree back there and it got ringed by rabbits, and it's, I don't know, I don't think it's going to make it. These pear trees beside the community gardens, they grew really, really well at first, and I think it's because we dug a big hole and put good compost in around the tree. And then the roots filled that spot, and now they're trying to grow out into this kind of more clay, poorer soil, and it's struggling a bit. So the growth has slowed down on them. But they're still alive, looking good. They just haven't produced a lot of fruit lately. So maybe that'll come on them. As we leave the forest, I'd just like to wish all you fathers out there happy Father's Day. Across the log path here. And back into the city. I'm so lucky to have a forest that's like a 2-minute walk from my house. It's nice walking through the forests. Kitty's enjoying the day out here, aren't you, Kitty? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you enjoy the days out here. Yep. You're a good boy, eh? Yeah, you're a good boy. A bit of an experiment on my wisteria. I've never hard pruned it like this before, so we'll see what the results are in maybe a couple of weeks or a month. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.